The name's Bond. James Bond. Welcome back, everybody. Matt the Bat here. Hope you're doing well. So, there's a lot of rumors going around. It happens right now with the actors strike. Even though technically there's no director's strike. So if they wanted to announce, I don't know, Christopher Nolan directing a James Bond movie, they could. But that's the rumor right now. There's a lot of talk going around that Christopher Nolan is going to be directing not just one James Bond movie, but either two James Bond movies or a whole new trilogy, kind of like the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, some people might be saying that's a little odd. Christopher Nolan, he does more, original movies. And yes, most of his filmography is original material. You would not be wrong. But, once again, they got this Batman bobblehead over here of Christian Bale's Batman of the Dark Knight trilogy that was directed by Christopher Nolan. So he has done a franchise before. Like Batman, one of the most popular in superheroes. James Bond, extremely popular. But not only that, if you look at a lot of the Nolan movies, especially Inception and Tenet, even though I'm not a huge fan of Tenet, you definitely see a lot of James Bond inspirations from the main characters wearing suits the whole time to Kenneth Branagh being kind of like a Bond villain on his own little yacht, and all that. He kind of had the Bond girl with Elizabeth Debicki. Then you go to Inception, a movie that goes all over the world, different places. A lot of the movie you see Leonardo DiCaprio wearing a suit, like especially in the opening. It feels like a James Bond movie when you get to that third act in the snow. And James Bond and Christopher Nolan has come out many times and has said that he's a huge fan of the James Bond franchise and he would love the opportunity to direct a James Bond movie. But I think, and this is the perfect opportunity for Christopher Nolan to direct a James Bond movie, because guess what? Spoiler, if you didn't see the last James Bond, but in No Time to Die, the last film in the Daniel Craig era, James Bond died at the end. I don't think that ever happened in a James Bond movie. James Bond died. He did. No more. So, the next James Bond is going to be a reboot, which means they can A, go in any direction they want, B, they're going to be recasting James Bond, so a brand new actor will be playing James Bond. And that's two great things for Christopher Nolan. Because number one, he's going to want to write the script, like he's written most of his scripts with his brother Jonathan Nolan. So that's going to be number one. He's not going to take a script from somebody else and say, okay, go make this James Bond movie. So since Daniel Craig has done it over, he can come up with any James Bond movie he wants now. Number two, he's going to want to pick his own James Bond. He was never going to do one with Daniel Craig. Not that I don't think he doesn't like Daniel Craig, but he's going to want to pick his own James Bond actor to be in his movie. So that's another win for him. He doesn't have to go with someone they've already, been playing around with. Now then it becomes then it becomes who would play James Bond. And you gotta look at some of the actors that Christopher Nolan has worked with. One of the many favorites, Tom Hardy. He's British. You know, we know he can do the physicality pretty well. He has that sex appeal. He actually can be charming if you've seen some of his more lighter films. But we also know when he needs to be tough and be, you know, the more physical James Bond, we know he can do that from like Warrior or Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. And Tom Hardy has been a favorite for the next James Bond for so many years. Another actor that you might not even think about is Oppenheimer himself, Cillian Murphy. He is British too. I mean, he has the look and the blue eyes. The blue eyes of his. Guess who also had blue eyes? Daniel Craig. They can make that a new trend for James Bond. Instead of the dark hair and everything, blue eyes. You got blue eyes, you're James Bond. Daniel Craig, Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy could be an option. Once again, depending on what kind of route they go with the James Bond. But they could easily bring in Cillian Murphy as James Bond. And someone who worked a lot with Christopher Nolan, that could be possible. It could be doable. I think another favorite that is outside the Nolan hemisphere, if you will, is none other than our boy Henry Cavill. And this could be a very, very high possibility. Henry Cavill is not Superman anymore. He's not The Witcher anymore. He doesn't have a new franchise. He got killed in Mission Impossible, so there's no more of him. And people forget. The actor that was going to play James Bond in Casino Royale was almost Henry Cavill. He was the runner-up. If Daniel Craig said no, Henry Cavill would have been our James Bond throughout this entire time. No Superman. So Henry Cavill is still only in his, I think, early 40s, or maybe even late 30s, that he could easily play James Bond for another 10 years or so. So that's another name, Henry Cavill. So let me know in the comments below, would you want to see a Christopher Nolan James Bond movie? Or 2, or 3. Make it a trilogy. Let me know in the comments below. Matt the Matt here.